to make reasonable and sensible financial decisions, which is what brings us here today. I've owned this camera for perhaps 2 weeks now. I've owned for 2 weeks and used for perhaps a total of a couple of hours, and so I'll be giving you my first impressions of the Fujifilm X-Pro1 camera. The Fujifilm X-Pro1 was released with an X-Trans 1 sensor, which was the first amongst its kind. The difference between an X-Trans sensor and a sensor you'd find in a usual camera is the way the pixels are arranged, as well as the lack of an anti-aliasing filter. An anti-aliasing filter is basically like the softening filter that they put in front of it so that you don't get any jagged lines, which obviously helps remove jagged lines, but at the same time makes the image softer and less sharp. So the benefit of using an X-Trans sensor that has no anti-aliasing filter is simply the fact that the images will be sharper. So yes, let's get started. This is the Fujifilm X-Pro1. I think, as someone who is purely in it for the aesthetics, I think this is a pretty good looking camera. Just imagine, instead of having a bag or a handbag or anything like that, you instead have, for fuck's sake, this camera with a camera strap laced around your neck and this on your hip like a little fashion accessory. I think that is really cute. Now, there's some really nice sounds. As cameras got newer, the technology inside of them improved, and the quieter they got, which, depending on who you ask, is a good thing. But when using a camera like this, I like to believe that the whole point is that it feels old, but brings an image that you could post to Instagram. This, you know what, I'll just show you. Okay. So let's take a picture. Ready? Listen. Did you hear that? Wow. Sounds like a film camera, and it's... I love that sound. I love it. I love it so much. It's got dials.
Let me just zoom in the camera real quick. Let me just zoom it in. Okay.
So as you can see, it looks old, doesn't it? Wow. I think it's a spectacular looking camera. So, what was I saying? Oh, right. Okay, so this is how this old one, the first one, sounds. And I have the sequel here, the X-Pro 2, which was released in 2017, I think, if I can remember correctly. Or maybe it was 2014, I can't remember for the life of me. Whatever it is, it's newer, is what I'm trying to say. And if you listen, it's quieter, and not in a way that I enjoy. The whole point okay, where am I? What was I doing? Okay, well, I I guess I'll start a new train of thought. The X Pro 1 and the X Pro 2 and the X Pro 3 all have, as you can see here, optical viewfinders in the style of a rangefinder camera, which is already what makes it look so old and retro and so cool and amazing and wow, so crazy. But what's incredible is that it's not just a see-through piece of glass. It's a see-through piece of glass, but then inside, you can't capture it on camera because I have to change the focus. But if you can see, there's actually the option to have a screen. Fujifilm have created a new system where it will have the optical viewfinder, and then you have the option to slide in a screen into that space as well and have a digital viewfinder. So you can have the optical one for the fun of it, for the retro vibes, and then the digital viewfinder to actually see the actual image itself, which I think is just revolutionary. It's very tactile of a camera. It has a dial here. It's got a shutter speed dial up here. Later iterations had an ISO dial where you could lift it up here and spin it. If you look on the X Pro 2, like that, which I think is wonderful. I love how it feels to hold these cameras. Just holding it up to your eyeball and going. I'm sure I had a train of thought. There was definitely something I was going to say about this. I got my tax return recently, which is why I was able to buy this camera, despite being, you know what? I'll search it up. Let's have a look. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. The Fujifilm X-Pro1 was released March 2012. It's an old camera. 2012, there are children in schools younger than this camera. But holding it and using it, especially with acrylic nails, could you imagine being in the city holding this? People would be like, is that a film camera? And you're like, no. Or you could just say yes and lie to them, and then that's half the aesthetic of it, isn't it? Because it's an interchangeable lens camera, you can obviously change the lenses. I personally decided to buy simply the lens that was the thinnest and the smallest, because as you can tell, I'm going to be using it as a fashion accessory, so versatility wasn't really in my mind, just compactness. The great thing about Fujifilm cameras is not just the feel and the design and the whatnot of them, but it's actually the fact that Fujifilm themselves have created film simulations within the cameras that mimic old 35mm film stocks. Here, I'll tell you what some of them are. For example, okay, they have a film stock for... they have Provia, they have Velvia, Astia, Classic Chrome, Acros. The whole point is that it mimics the old Fujifilm film within the digital format. Newer cameras have newer ones. It's expensive. I'm not going to lie. But this camera, 2012, has a resale value of about $600 currently, which I think is impressive for a camera that old. I can tell you now, you can't be buying a phone from 2012 for $600. That's what, $100 at most. I was lucky enough to purchase my X Pro 2 camera that then came with the X Pro 1 as a bundle because the seller on Facebook Marketplace just simply wanted to get rid of them. And so now I have two cameras. I have 3 plants in my bedroom, and I water them every Thursday. stay, but not too much, because I had problems originally where they would start getting, they would pool the water, it wouldn't evaporate, which now that I think about it is obvious, but I've figured that out now. But they're growing quite well, and it's really, 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 really nice to see. Thanks for watching. If you would like to buy my X-Pro1 camera for $400, no, $500, yes, I'm just remembering now, from me, please buy it from me. It's not that I don't love it, it's just I am paying rent in a university dorm and I am struggling. That's 10 minutes, right? I wonder if I'll edit this video and put sample images. Okay. Thank you for